to the entertainment Talking Sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. And in this video, I'm going to dive into a rumor that had just come out about an hour ago on Twitter. And I'm not very surprised. I've talked about this for about 3 months, that I think that Yannick Ngakoue will not be, with the Jacksonville Jaguars at the start of the season. Very similar to Jadeveon Clowney last year. He was traded late in the season. I expect that to be the case with Ngakoue. Anything's possible. He still may play on that franchise tag. But Ngakoue has, displayed his displeasure, or voiced his displeasure, I should say, with playing with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And normally, when that happens, you look to get assets while you can. If the longer the Jacksonville Jaguars wait, the less they will get in return. And there's a number of teams out there that could use a pass rusher. Of course, Yannick Ngakoue is making, I think, just over $17 million on the franchise tag. He's come out and said that he will play on that franchise tag if he is traded to another team, which is fully guaranteed. At about $17.5 million. And then, of course, the team trading for him, you would think, would look to work out an extension. Of course, if the Giants were to trade for him, they would get a comp pick if we were to move on, or another team, whoever it may be. The other question you have to ask yourself, other than, of course, the fact that if you trade another player to offset the salary, which teams currently have enough cap space to bring him in? Well, I'll get into that in this video. The New York Giants are one of them. I would not favor the Giants to be one of the most likely destinations, being that they're not a win-now team, but maybe they would view Yannick Ngakoue as a core piece of their future. Sew up that edge rusher position, something that they need. And I've talked about that they may look to sign in free agency. Well, if they were to bring in Ngakoue, maybe that would be the case. Do I think he'll be a Giant? Again, I'm going to say no. I think it's much more likely he could go to a number of other teams. I'll talk about all of it. But at least according to, I think it was Mike Garofalo, I'll get into the exact tweet, it looks as if it's very close to happening, and it could happen over the next 2 days. But let's pull up the exact tweet, and then we'll get into some of the teams that I think Yannick could potentially be going to. Michael Lombardi, my mistakes. According to NFL sources, Jacksonville is extremely close to trading Yannick Ngakoue today or tomorrow. Have a firm offer in place. Hearing a 2. When he says that, I'm assuming he means a second-round pick. Looks like this holdout will be over soon, and Jacksonville will get more picks for their tanking. Of course, that's speculation by a lot of people around the league. Trevor Lawrence projected to be the number 1 overall pick, and yeah, they have Gardner Minshew, played pretty well last year. But when you have a supremely talented prospect coming in, a team like Jacksonville looking for a fresh start, they've gotten rid of all their defensive playmakers. Yes, they still have some nice young pieces there, but they're not a win-now team. Yannick knows that, and he's looking to move on. And then finally, I wanted to go over some of the teams that potentially could land him. And these are the teams, like I said, without getting cute with the cap, that I could see him potentially going to. These are the teams with the most cap space right now. And which teams make sense? Well, a lot of them are going to. I don't really see the Cleveland Browns doing it. Maybe they have Olivier Vernon, but I doubt it. I don't see the Browns doing it. The Patriots could definitely make sense. It's possible, but the Patriots historically don't look to bring in big-name players and pay them at a premium salary, which is what it would cost. The Broncos already are set there at the edge rusher position. The Jets could make a lot of sense. Of course, they just lost the star. Maybe they would look to bring one in. The Washington football team doesn't make sense. They're pretty loaded there at that position. The Bills could make sense. They just brought in Mario Addison, but they could definitely use another edge rusher. But they're a pretty strong defense to begin with. But it's possible. But so far over the first 6 teams, I would say the Jets, maybe the Patriots make the most sense. The Lions, I suppose, are possible. The Colts could make sense, definitely. That's kind of a win-now team. I could definitely see that. The Giants, we all know we need an edge rusher, and maybe they could view him as part of their future. And when I go over the rest of it, the team that I guess scares me that he could potentially go to is the Philadelphia Eagles. They do this year have $21 million in cap space. However, if you look at the Philadelphia Eagles going forward, I don't know how they'd be able to retain him. Like I've talked about many times, they've got like negative $50 million in cap. I don't know. Maybe they could cut a bunch of players or structure his contract in a way to make sure he stays on the team. But maybe the Eagles look at him as a 1-year rental for a team that's looking to compete to win a championship. Could bring him in and, like I said, get compensated for a 3rd-round pick in next year, or trade him away. It is possible. I could see him landing with the Eagles. They're a win-now team looking to, make a move, make a splash, try to win the NFC. So there's a number of teams he could end up with. Your guess is as good as mine. I know a lot of Giants fans out there want this guy on the team, being that we desperately need an edge rusher for now and in the future. Do I think we'll get him? Probably not. For a 2nd-round pick, is he worth it? Well, you have to figure that the New York Giants probably will have a pretty early 2nd-round pick next year. You're talking between, we'll say, 35 to 45 in the draft, and you have to ask yourself, is he worth it for 1 year, to go to the Giants in a year in which you're probably not going to compete to win the Super Bowl? Your guess is as good as mine. Of course, the New York Giants have been linked to him for quite some time. He's talked about wanting to play with the Giants, but let's be fair, he's talked about wanting to play for a lot of NFL teams. I think Yannick Ngakoue just wants his money, and the Giants definitely have the cap space available next year to give it to him. We'll have to wait and see. But if I had to guess, I would say the Jets, the Colts, unfortunately the Eagles, the Patriots could make a lot more sense than the New York Giants. But we'll see. I wouldn't be upset if we brought him in for a second-round pick. I was always opposed to bringing him in for a first-round pick, and the market is only going to go up. And next year, the New York Giants, I think we all agree, could probably use a premium edge rusher. Well, if you brought in Ngakoue, you probably wouldn't have to worry about that going forward. As always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe, drop a comment, maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.